be completely on topic, but it might be appreciated.
Let's say people sometimes read novels in order to try to make a life turn out like a story. And in the novel or a play, try to make it fit together and to see what it adds up to. And all of us try to make our lives add up to some goal or set of goals, usually not just one goal.
Yeah.
Set of goals that we consider a purposive life, to live on purpose rather than stumble into it or go impulsively into it. And the reason for saying it's purpose is you can weed out some things and include things that are more valuable or worthwhile to ourselves and to other people.
Another point worth mentioning is that if you spend your whole life trying to find the meaning of life, you may miss leading life itself. And the meaning of life can be seen as living your life.
That's the basic, is you live life and enjoy it and contribute to the joys of others. And we hit upon sorrows, and so try to bring comfort and help and self-reliance to others. But let's try this idea that some people say something like this: the meaning of life is found in the scriptures.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you can read, say, the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible or some other scripture, and you can find people trying to put their lives together in the framework that they inherited. And we have to understand most of the scriptures were written long before Galileo, long before Einstein, before Darwin, before science developed.
Yeah, they were working as hard as they could with what they had.
Yeah, and so we should not be contemptuous, you see. In fact, we can learn. You can read parts of the Bible and you can say, yeah, they developed something here to make life worth living.
Yeah.
For example, love your neighbor as yourself. Now, that's hard to do. And even love your enemies. Now, I know one atheist who scorns that, but I know other atheists and theists who say, no, what we get out of this is try to turn an enemy into a friend. And that's what ethics is basically about, to overcome this locked-in enmity, love your insiders and hate your outsiders. Try to build bridges. And we have religious traditions that have tried to do this, and we've had atheist traditions who've tried to do it. We've also had the opposite in religious tradition, and we've had the opposite in atheistic traditions.
Yeah, people are people. If they're religious or atheists, still basically the same thing.
So neither atheism nor religion is going to offer you a shortcut salvation.
Yeah.
We have to work out our own salvation, as it were, with fear and trembling sometimes.
Yeah, can't always hope for someone to spell it out for you. Life's not that easy.
Also, with the scripture, you have to ask, what does this particular passage mean? In connection with another particular passage, and by the time you get through doing that, you may gain some wisdom. You also may gain about 15 different denominations. Whether you're in the...
And each one will have a different translation interpretation of
the meaning. And that's because we're all finite human mortals. Right. We don't come in with infallibility. Even if you claim your scriptures are infallible, you've got fallible people who have to interpret them.
Like you were talking about the poem earlier, the Bible's kind of the same way. People can interpret it differently in different ways, or interpret anything differently in different ways based on the person.
I don't think we're trying to say that it's just reading yourself into it. The text is there, and you try to understand it. But you are saying, I think, that it's very difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
This text exists in connection with another text, and then that's in a whole cultural setting, and you can't understand this text except in the cultural setting, and that's hard work.
You're quite far removed from that now, aren't we?
Yeah, aren't we?
It's rather difficult to do that from where we're sitting at this point in time. But
for example, why was Paul, who was Jewish so insistent not to have circumcision? You see. Now, part of the Greek world didn't have circumcision. His tradition did. It might have meant something meaningful in his tradition for health reasons. I don't know.
Yeah.
You'd have to ask, health specialists in that. And it would have been meaningful. But to make it a divine revelation, that's a bit far-fetched.
Yeah, don't know if it's worth going to hell over.
Yeah. So, and I think here's an example of the Apostle Paul, who was Jewish in his background, but also living in a Gentile world, speaking Greek and traveling around the world, as were other Jewish thinkers. And they were trying to say, how do we relate to the Gentile world, the Greek world, and still keep our own tradition and the meaning? And the interrelationship means you give something to the Greeks and the Greeks give something back. And that's the meaning there. You interpret the context. Each is context to the other. Each is a scripture to the other, if you want to put a script to the other. And therefore, I think Paul made some real advances. You don't have to buy his notion that he's got divine revelation, but you can see a mind thinking, trying to work on this problem.
Yeah. These people were honestly trying to sort something out.
Yeah.
And they were genuine in that.
Yeah, I think so. Now we're going to talk about dreams and inspirations and revelations in another time.
Yeah.
But right now we're kind of setting the stage.
And those also can be interpreted in many different ways, too.
Yeah. And sometimes, we all have dreams and visions, and we envision.
Yeah, and we sometimes put those visions that we have for the future as our meanings of life, a distinct goal that we can work towards.
That's a good way to put it.
Sometimes a lot of people need that, a distinct goal. Mm-hmm. Some people's life, the American dream, having a family, raising kids, white picket fence type stuff, that could be your meaning of life that someone strives for.
Yeah.
And you don't have one meaning of life throughout your life. It'll change many times.
Yeah. Yeah, and I never quite got to the picket fence, but I know what you're talking about. But I've often thought, my life would have been greatly different without the woman I married. And the reason I'm saying this, we just celebrated our 57th anniversary.
Yeah, congratulations.
And I've thought often, how great my life is because of this relationship. Great to me. Now, whether it's great to anybody else, right now it's meaningful to me. And a great deal of it is in interrelationship. Now, I don't think that everybody has to be married to have a meaningful life, but I'm saying many people find that a good marriage increases their worth and their value as individuals.
Yes, and not only that, but also friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just we are social creatures, and we need companionship in some form, some way.
Yeah,
most of us do. I'm
79, and I have a dear friend I've known since the 5th grade. We talk to each other now and then, and it's a marvelous experience. And sometimes the word meaningful means enriches. Our lives have been enriched by other people.
Yeah.
It's in that sense, living is like a dance. It's not just competition. If you've got two people dancing, they aren't always in competition. If they are, they're not going to dance. They have to work together. Same on the job. If it's in competition all the time, trying to, put each other down, then the job is not a job. It's a misery.
Yeah. Also, some people's meaning of life isn't just for themselves. They can devote it to a purpose, such as their country, or a cause they believe in, political. Can believe in something bigger than yourselves and try to work towards that. That can be also a goal that people can have in their lives, trying to add to something more.
Sure.
Or just general society in general. Just try to make our lives better.
So we build bridges. In this country in particular, we have the freedom to build bridges with people we don't agree with on everything. In fact, if we agreed on everything, it'd be an incredibly boring life.
Yes.
In fact, if this man here and this man here we're looking at, always agreed with me on everything that came from my mouth, I would end up a lunatic.
Yeah, we need people to disagree with us on something, or we won't have anything to talk about, really, would we?
Well, we would be nuts.
We wouldn't learn anything either.
No, we wouldn't. This is Ruth Graham, Billy Graham's wife. I wish Billy had listened to her more. It said that if husband and wife agreed on everything, one of them is unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I think so in that sense, a good marriage helps create a meaningful life for each individual that they wouldn't have without the marriage.
Yeah.
At least that's what ideally a marriage.
Yeah, we need people to test ourselves, to help us improve ourselves better, to play off each other.
Now, that doesn't mean that if you're married, your job is to reform your wife. That's a way to kill your marriage.
That wouldn't be a good idea. We remind you we have about 4 minutes left. If you want to call and ask us a quick question, go ahead now.
Okay, do you have something else you'd like to
well, I guess we got to start wrapping up if we don't have any more callers. I think we've actually found the meaning of life. I have it right here. Let me see what it is. It's nothing special, really. Try to be nice to people, avoid eating fat, read a good book every now and then, get some walking in, and try to live together in peace and harmony with people of all creeds and nations.
I hope you get the humor of this.
Yeah.
You got your life, and I got my life. We interact, and we contribute, but it's still, your life is yours, and mine is mine. And thanks to you, mine happens to be better than not yours, but better than what it was because of another person. In fact, you could say that even two people talking the same language is already a commitment of honesty, to use the same words in the same way so that we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's in other words, we are having a meaningful conversation because we are committed to not use our words just in a private way. We have, in that sense, a public definition of the words. And so we have public commitments out here as part of our community, and we all contribute to those commitments, and it makes all of our lives, in that sense, more meaningful. And hence the community more meaningful to the individual. So in that sense, it's a constant interaction-ism.
Yeah. Hope this has helped people realize that atheists do have a meaning of life, that just because we don't have God in it, we aren't completely lost, and we've got meaning. We don't need a divine power to tell us what it is either.
Yeah, people, fortunately, people do come from different directions, and in doing that, we do cross-breeding of thinking, and that makes, I think, for a healthy culture. If we all had the same line of thought in a culture, then it'd be like planting the same crop in the same soil. It'd stagnate. So we need interaction.
We need thinking. We need some philosophy. And
so if you have a society of atheists, you would hope that they would have various denominations within that society so that they could cross-breed with each other. And very likely you would, because if you have the freedom to do so. That's what brings it about, is people have the freedom to interpret their lives. I've been reading about one of the cultures in which, in another country, where the women are so terribly, terribly abused and mistreated and not given options. And so one young woman wanted to kill herself because her life was meaningless in that context.
Well, we got to wrap up. Thank you, Joe, for helping us today. I'm Sam Gals. We're signing off.